Let's all go to the live stream. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday Live. We've got a fun special guest today with Xavier Hawk. I don't know how many of y'all know who Xavier Hawk is. He's here. He's somebody I was on Unloose the Goose with. And Xavier, why don't you just tell us a little bit about like who you are and how you ended up, I don't know, on this live stream with John Willis and Nicole Sauce of a Wednesday.
All right. Thanks for having me. I've been a long time admirer of Nicole and her work, and I've known her for very many years through Jack Spirko. I was featured on the Survival Podcast a number of times going back to like 2012. I'm involved in the cryptocurrency space and advanced technologies. I architected the first multi-asset-backed stable price cryptocurrency in 2014, negotiated the first blockchain for a nation in late 2014, early 2015, and I've seen some things would be the best way to put it, and have been working on a decentralized governance system and banking system for the people of the earth, a decentralized bank, otherwise known as a DANK. And this is my company, Fireon, and this is my other company, Fireon Global Partners, and Fireon Global Partners is building Fireon.
All right. So why decentralized? Like, what's the purpose of decentralizing humanity?
Good question. So right now we live in a world where the early adopters, let's say, of civilization built their foundations, the Medicis and going back, the Charlemagnes and all of that. Their families became established, realized, we can yoke into subservience or into servitude all of these humans around us. Let's get them to farm, build up our empire. And the early part of our civilization were these empires clashing. And what's happened is a lot of these families have established themselves, and through nepotism and selective breeding have essentially created dynasties that have gone on to create the foundations of our society, like universities, and where certain aspects of education and advancement and innovation get funded where others do not. Banking, where the governments of the world are essentially the puppets of the money makers. And what we have is a centralized control system that is steering humanity into oblivion, let's say, right? It's an extractive system whereby the people of Earth, the good people of Earth, go about their daily lives and become human resources for these large institutions, governments, and corporations. This has led us to arms sales, right? Usury and predatory banking and lending. And what this has done is the banks got clever on how to make more money and resources, consolidate their power. So they ended up using nations that they were funding to fight wars with each other, to lower the population, increase their holdings, consolidate power. And we live in, the makings of a dystopic civilization whereby the good people of Earth are the extractive resource that the nation states and the banking cartels behind them are predating upon. And it's just destroying our environment and destroying the fabric of society and turning humans into nothing more than complex chickens that are herded mentally and emotionally and economically. So to decentralize that power system puts the steering of Spaceship Earth back into the hands of the population. What we haven't had is a means and the technology to actually do that in a meaningful way. Now the technology exists, and the intelligence of the superorganism, humanity as a whole, outshines and outperforms the collective intelligence of a few small inbred groups of families and corporations and boards of directors. So with the technology that exists now, we can actually decentralize the governance of the Earth and its people and create a meritocracy whereby those of us who are proficient at and more appropriately positioned to make decisions can do so. And that is far superior to the system of control that we have now, where the whole system is falling apart essentially, and the amount of corruption that has become septic in the very systemic foundations of our culture, our institutions, and our governments is destroying our world. And people are starting to wake up to that. And I think that is the biggest and most profound opportunity that we have had in thousands of years. to actually take the technology that we have, apply it appropriately, manage the systems that we live in, that being the earth, appropriately with intelligence, instead of nepotism, greed, fear, and extractive value chains.
Something that's been kind of amusing me in the last little while is that we have like rapidly growing technology, which could be used against us just as well as for us,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And every time they, and I'm not going to define they, but they
right.
figure out how to use it to enact controls on us, there's a bunch of really smart dudes who know how to code or know how to do things who leapfrog them and undermine these systems. And it seems to be a cycle we go through where it's like centralized control, and then somebody invents Bitcoin, and then that horse gets out of the gate before they know what to do with it, and then they try to take control of that, and then somebody invents the next thing. And it seems like what's happening right now is we are able to tap into a lot of the collective intelligence out there, and they cannot keep up. When we actually go out and take action, they can't keep up with us because there are more of us than there are of them.
I agree. However, there is those of us who are of this mindset tend not to believe in organized systems, right? Because we've been burned over and over again. And the impetus within us for sovereignty is inherently opposed to collectivism, in a sense, right? We are very strongly individuals. And the agorist movement and the libertarian party and all of this, it's everybody's pretty much like, leave me the fuck alone, right? And that's sort of the impetus. And when we start collectivizing, we get things that are happening in the Libertarian Party now. Like if you know Peter Quinones, he's pointing out all of the hypocrisy, right, in that whole system, in the Mises Institute versus the Libertarian Party. And that's what happens when groups of humans together. We are inherently assholes, right? And we don't know it. And I think that's the problem. And when we come from that understanding that we are going to piss each other off, right? And we are inherently going to have faults and we're imperfect, but it's that compassion that we need to have that allows us to recognize that in one another. And I think that, like you said, technology becomes advanced, and it's kind of like gentrification. All the artists go to the poor areas, do some really cool stuff, and then everybody's like, I want to live there, and then the value price goes up of the housing, and then the artists can't live there any longer, right? So they have to. So there's this constant extraction that's going on the life force that people are exhibiting, and it has to do with this as well. Technology. People come up with the most advanced stuff, and that which is useful shall be assimilated. That which is odd or an outlier, so long as it is useful to the system, will subsist and continue. That which is inherent against it will oftentimes be destroyed. So the trick here is to create systems that can be integrated, understanding the current extractive value system, and understanding that it's not like people are inherently evil. They're just not aware of the system that they're in and how damaging it is. And so the awakening that's happening now is people are starting to become aware, like, maybe we shouldn't live in smart cities and become really complex chickens for this large bestial machine. Maybe we should start growing our own food. Maybe we should start learning how to homestead and trade and barter. So the challenge for us as individuals and as a society, it's like, I really think the solution is in the agorist community, in the raison d'être, or whatever, the reason we exist, and the forces that inspire us. We need to take that and build trust communities. I love what John's doing with freedom cells, and I think it's going to take stuff like that, but we're not going to be able to individually withstand what's coming. We have to do so collectively together, and we have to create a system that allows us to trust one another to do that.
What do you think about all that, John Willis?
Well, it's tax cattle, right? He called chickens, it's tax cattle. And I think that the majority of the population is not aware of it, right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Do we wake them up and make them more aware, and then the powers that be come after us, and it's a collision? how many do we wake up? Is it worth it? It's like, who is John Gall, right? Nobody, but you started seeing it everywhere. Who is Rand Paul? I used to see billboards that said, who is Rand Paul, as a kid, and had no idea until one day I finally looked it up, and you're like, holy shit, this dude's saying everything he's saying makes sense. So how out there do we, how much do we skyline ourselves with this, and what is the repercussion? Because if what you're doing will really work, which it will, they will come after you, because it's taking away from their tax base, it's taking away from the control.
Yep.
And it's a system that's been going for hundreds of years. That it's rebreeding, it's inbreeding, and you can check the lineage. I mean, World War I was fought by cousins. World War II, it's all family. I mean, these people were playing together in playrooms together in castles, and it's the same shit today.
Yep. And it's family stuff. And I mean, you can get into the conspiracy of it and talk about the Romans, the eagle versus the snake, the origins of our species. Like, it gets pretty deep, right? And when we recognize that we are in the midst of a 10,000-year battle, things then become a little bit more comprehensible, right? But most humans don't even think about 2 days ago and 4 days from now. They live in yesterday, today, and tomorrow. What am I going to eat? Where am I going to go to the bathroom? Who am I going to have sex with? And how am I going to sleep? And that's a complex chicken. Go ahead.
It's a poverty mindset, man. It really is. It's just, most people don't have more than $500 in their bank account. So it's just entertainment and amusement and just pacification.
Yep. And we have to carry them along. I think that there's going to be a natural event that's going to thin the human population. And I think that, no, let me put it this way. I know that there are groups and individuals who want to help that process along. They know it's going to happen, and they're like, well, let us help that along, and thin the herd so that we can establish ourselves more after this event, right? I don't think they understand the ramifications of the coming event completely. I think that the degree to which we as a civilization, as souls and people on the planet, come together to work together in harmony, the less impactful this event will be. Let's call it the spanking. Let's call it the planetary spanking, right? If we come together and prepare for it and exemplify the highest traits of human beingness, I think the spanking will be less. However, there is going to be a big spanking, and I'm not hopeful for the lessening impact of it, other than the efforts that I'm undertaking, right, to monumentally shift and awaken the consciousness. And actually, it's like all these people are awakening around the planet, but we need to activate it and put it into resonance and work. Like, we actually need to do something together, more than like, hey, we're all just going to homestead. It's like, no, we need to create an economy that's built on value cooperation and uplifting and all of these good qualities that are essentially Christ-like. Like, we need to exemplify that, in my opinion, because then we'll have something worth living in, and our children worth living in. So
if a meteorite had just hit Davos, would the problem go away? Are you of the belief that this is going to be a man-made cataclysm? Like, I mean, Gates just came out and said the next big threat could be a bioterror, right? The next big virus could be like it wasn't anyways, but
right. Yeah, I think that if a meteorite had hit Davos and Switzerland in general, Geneva and CERN specifically, along with all of those motherfuckers, yeah, we would have had, we would have a better chance, let's say, right? Because then it would just be a real natural thing, and it would shake the consciousness of human species beings to actually start collectively working together. If you've ever seen Star Trek, one of the movies where they go back in time to Zebrin Cochrane, where he's like making the first warp drive, that's what the future is going to look like here within the decade. There's going to be a lot of death. There's going to be a lot of factionalization, let's say, and we'll still have our high technology, but it'll be in pockets, and that's the kind of chaos that I foresee. And so if we can get something like Fireon off the ground before then it'll be a lot easier to rebuild together and put the species back on track, right? That's my personal prophetic mission, and that's what I'm here to do.
what's required to get Fireon off the ground?
We have a number of fronts right now, a number of projects that are underway. Everything from biofuels manufacturing to like ultra low sulfur diesel and biopellets, as well as infrastructure projects and refineries and high speed rail. We're working on a number of fronts infrastructure wise with several governments to be able to fund it, because I don't want to not take investors' money. I want to provide value to those of the community who've been involved already. I don't want to do a public raise. I don't think any of those are ethical. I don't think any of the coin raises that have taken place are super ethical. We have accredited investors that are involved, but it's so much more than a bank. We're talking infrastructure that the civilization of the future needs, right? Like building materials, agricultural systems, fuel systems, power systems that all power and provide value to the banking system. We're talking about like literally a breakaway civilization with a pathway forward to be able to provide protection from your governments, essentially, protection from the banking system, and privacy protection, right? So it's a complex operation that takes a number of different steps, and I've never felt like we were closer, to be honest. So either way,
isn't that just the New World Order?
Yeah, it sounds like you're going to make a lot of enemies.
Yes, I already have.
Oil and bank, and I mean, hell,
I had to give him crap about being the New World Order just because.
Yeah, John and his crew, the whole Greater Reset crew, they're all like, he's a New World Order shill, you know. They wouldn't let me speak. They had me slated to speak. I still hold a little bit of a grudge, a little bit of chip right there. They had me slated to speak, and at the last moment, the last day, they pulled me, you know. Saying because I had something on my website about having been at Davos and, you know, being able to enable taxation. So clearly they've never read The Art of War. But if we build the technology, I don't know if you know some of my history, but I was being kind of groomed to build this beast system, because nobody really understood it as well as I did at the time. And I refused, and then bad things happened to me. I survived the kidnapping and the assassination attempt and all this other nonsense. That was very scary. And I ended up, you know, realizing that if we're going to do this without being killed, then we need to be able to provide an out, essentially, or a way for the governments of the world to play and have competition, right? To have appropriate competition, that we're not an existential threat, but we provide a new way of playing the global civilization game that can still continue the balancing act that a complex system like ours requires. So if we create the technology, and because somebody will, if we create the technology and give it to them, then they can't fuck it up, essentially, because we could just turn it off. So that was the strategy, still is. And, you know, if the UN wants a system like that, it's like, well, somebody's going to do it, right? And if they have the wherewithal to implement it, better we build the Death Star than let somebody else do it. You know what I mean?
Well, plus Jack Posobiec was at Davos as well. I mean, so yeah, I would like to think some of our people are there, you know?
Yeah, I did. I went there, not this year. I went the year Trump went, and I was there to basically institutionalize this concept and this idea. I know that they're trying to build it. I know that there are organizations that are doing it already, but it's frankly shitty compared to what we're building. And if we build this successfully, quickly, we can enable it for the people of the earth, and we can be a global civilization without the New World Order, right? The true New World Order is by the people, for the people, and a global civilization, so we can have a type 1 civilization, right? To have it be built and managed by the current fuck-ups, inbred fuck-ups, then we have a problem, you know?
Well, I think that's what they're after, but it's not. It's for them, you know. It's not
correct.
It's not for outside the walls.
Correct. Very, very astute. I think it's we're in a very dangerous time, and I don't think enough people are aware of just how tenuous our position is at this time.
Right. I mean, there's plenty of bread and circuses, plenty of distractions. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Every time some crazy shit happens, what are we not eyeballs on?
Right. No, instead watch Johnny Depp and his like ridiculous spat, you know.
Yes,
and as much as I try to,
but we have no idea about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial.
Exactly. Like those perpetrators, those pedophiles are still out there, still working in levels of government that we would be uncomfortable understanding just how rampant it is.
Still
So the
pedophiling.
question is, they're out there still pedophiling, right? They're still Epstein Islanding.
Yep.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I don't think I'm extremist at all. Okay. I think extremism is lying to your people to promulgate a certain pathway. I think that's extremism. To lie, propagandize, and generally like mislead, peoples is extremism. I think that, going human hunting for pedophiles is a really good pastime that could generate you a lot of cash if you were smart about it. So, I don't want to encourage anything, but at the same time, like, I don't see why that's not happening more en masse. And frankly, there's just a few key people in the world, and most of the machinations are done by people who don't know, or who people don't know, right? The true puppeteers, let's say, are people that nobody knows. Right. They're the public faces, the Rothschild, all of this bullshit. That's all like middle management, that's like herd management for these people. So, but even those people, you could really debilitate their whole push with just a few key strategic, situations, right?
Right. Somebody pulls the strings in the Vatican. I mean, it's not within the walls.
And I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure, the intel's out there, and, there's store-bought software and drones that people could get and just take out a couple hundred people, and it would really shift the dynamic. Not suggesting that.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys recovering them, children from overseas.
Mm-hmm.
White, blonde hair, blue eyed,
Yep.
Mormons. They've recovered Mormon children out of the Africa area and stuff. But and a lot of times, like I'd heard Tony Robbins speak a couple times about it as well. They have recovered the same kids more than once, and then what do we do with them? We put them in a foster system, and the foster system is absolutely horrendous. I mean, that is the gateway right there. The kids are the product. It's absolutely insane. And when you talk about it, nobody knows. Like there's nothing's being done about it. Like there is no. It's something else will happen.
See, this is something I all of those motherfuckers should be killed. They should be strung up and publicly executed. And I think that our society has become degenerate and weak and incapable of composure and intent. The fact that the cops at the school shooting just sat around outside preventing the parents from going inside to get their fucking children, like those guys should be publicly executed or publicly, tarred and feathered, frankly, if we don't destroy them. But a clear sign, a clear message should be made to all of those people who would conduct themselves and hurt children like this. And, it's like the left and the right, it's all bullshit that used to divide. But if you're out there saying, abortion is like okay, but you can't have guns, it doesn't make any sense at all, right? It's like,
right. Well, the squealers over the abortion thing, right? The squealers. They were lined right up for the other piece, right? My body, my choice. Well, is it or is it not? Is it? It's right. It's just crazy.
So we should have an organ.
The most bizarre talking point I've heard come out of that most recent shooting was somebody saying, how scared must the cops be of these, assault weapons that they'd be afraid to go in without a SWAT team, justifying why they didn't go in.
Well, they just took the chief of police and voted him on to town council. I believe that happened. City councilman yesterday, I believe that happened, or day before.
So he got a promotion?
That's what it sounds like. The Border Patrol guy. So BORTAC is a special operations unit for Border Patrol. And they used to work with JTF-6, all the black helicopters. It was South Central America, anti-drug operations. It sounds like the dude is no longer with Bortak, or maybe he's still with them attached on this side of the border. He was sitting in a barber's chair. His wife said there is an active shooter. He didn't have a long gun with him. He took the barber's shotgun, went there, got in an altercation with law enforcement there, got past them, went in and killed the shooter. You have a mom who they had handcuffed on the floor. When they released her, she jumped over a fence and got her kids out. You have a father who was going to get his children, and they tased him. And then the word is, right in the beginning, you kept hearing this, and you haven't heard shit about it since then. Several of those law enforcement officers who did not go in early on got their children out. It's crazy.
Really?
You keep hearing long gun, AR-15. The kid had a pistol. Where did he get the pistol? Why isn't nobody discussing that? And then you have your political talking points over all this. Ban armor, ban magazine. They're little pet projects or whatever it is.
Yep. They are actively trying to destroy the United States, the middle class, and all of the people who would be able to withstand a cultural and economic collapse, right? And provide some sort of semblance of structure and decency and positive vision of the future. It's like they are actively doing this, right? And the people who recognize it, like you, myself, and others, we do, but we think we are the minority when we are definitely like 3% of the population at least. However, globally, I don't know, but if it's hard not to sound like an extremist, right? It's like people need to do some shit, and people need to be willing to do some shit, because this is not going to get easier. It's only going to get harder and harder. And I think we missed the window to be able to really put life back on track. So we're going to have like a hard time. And I don't know how. There's no easy answer, right? We have to like toe a line and strategize and get an effective forward-looking strategy.
Freedom, personal liberty, prosperity is not something that you just is given to you. It's not something that's just there. If you don't work for it, you don't get it. And I think what's happening right now is we've had so many centuries of not taking it for ourselves as a general cultural norm that we're gonna have to go through a hard time to understand why it's so important, because in a lot of ways it has been given to us for hundreds of years, not 100% of the time.
We're taking it for granted.
We take it for granted, and we think it's always going to be there, and we're like, yeah, sure, whatever, like medical procedure because I'm helping my fellow man. Yeah, sure, whatever. No more long guns. Yeah, sure, whatever. Magazines, but I can still have a handgun. And next thing you know,
whatever. I've got the top.
You're like, wait, what the hell just happened to me? Okay, now I got to go through some pain to take it back because this is bullshit. And that's part of what gives me hope is how many people see and realize this is messed up and I got to do something. Now what do I do? And they get to that point and they're like, we're starting to figure out what to do.
It's going to be uncomfortable.
But I think we have to feel the pain sometimes to see the light or to see the path.
Yep. So, but we all go ahead.
Very Independent did a video this morning. He calls them the morning brief. He said some stuff that I cannot say on here. My channel got a strike last week and was shut down. I will definitely get your guys' channel shut down. But what he was basically speaking about is the Second Amendment is not for sporting or hunting. It's to prevent tyranny and to reverse tyranny. And basically, do you think there is tyranny or do you not think there is tyranny? And the people trying to take away your rights are amassing more and more around them. We've got walls going up. We have big security details. I mean, these guys don't move without air support because they have done enough insidious shit over the last 2 years, and it is forefront now, and everybody knows it. And the king is about to be pulled from the castle and eaten. We have other countries right now where they are pulling the leadership out and ending them in the streets, right?
Yep.
And everybody still wants to go, oh, you need to vote. You need to vote. You need to vote. How did that work out on this last one?
Vote harder.
Govern me harder, Daddy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's because the systems themselves are broke. Like,
yes.
all the solutions throughout history have become the problem, right? We needed to stop dysentery and other waterborne illnesses, so they put chlorine in the water. Solved the problem, a lot less people died. But now, it's hardening arteries and stuff. Every solution eventually becomes a problem. The solution to tyranny was the United States, and it was thought of, and I don't know the name of it, but there were letters that went back and forth between the founding fathers. And they were, people say, oh, they were Masons, they weren't Christian, they weren't this and that, but they were. There were statements saying like, this law that you're doing, that's not biblically or scripturally like there. Right. So this country was founded on Judeo-Christian values. People can argue that or whatever. They were Masons. Right. Fine. But they were also like, we need liberty. We need, like, fundamentally, God is about the freedom of will, the beauty of the garden. Right. And the only way you can have that is without tyranny. The innovation of the last 200 years came about because people were free to create, dream. They can't do that when they're enslaved. So when we talk about the solution now becoming the problem, because it has become institutionally corrupt, institutional racism, like when the federal system took a hold and you couldn't recall your state senators or your congresspeople, boom, that's when the corruption started. They couldn't do anything about it. You didn't have that decentralized control anymore. So now we had a monopoly, a monolithic, empire that was being created as the solution, right? And it quickly became corrupted because we didn't know better. The white blood cells of the human civilization had not yet encountered the rampant, insidious tyranny that we now have with technological, fortitude. So when the problem now is this monolithic, huge industrial complex that is supported by the banking systems and by the government, right? So we have to like rebuild from scratch. And if we collectively approach that and build a solution, what I envision doing is creating the architecture for people to make decisions. You want to change it? Fine. Here's the way we do it. Here's the governance system that we do it. Here's the rails on which we sit on our toilet and use our phone and make decisions together, right? Whether it's, on the toilet or whatever, you get my point. It's like you can use a Reddit style conversation system and a voting system and really determine the collective will of the people very quickly. And then you have people who execute on that. And so long as that system takes too much to fuck up, that it's not worth it, that is created so that people can truly work it and become good actors and incentivize all the right behaviors, then, we actually have a chance. I think that people are burnt out and abused, like dogs in abusive relationships with their masters. Like we're all strays now who have been beaten too much and mistrust one another, and at the slightest like perceived threat we like snap, and we're just getting on each other's cases. And I think that we're collectively traumatized by this, and I think that's very real. We're collectively traumatized by this extractive system that treats us less than humans. And the truth is that the technology exists right now to literally alter humans' perception of reality. Like we're under attack. And I don't know who they are. I have a really good idea, but I'm always, from an art of war standpoint, I'm always going to assume the worst, right? That they have more capability than we ever could imagine. They're aliens, interdimensional being, whatever, right? Like it doesn't matter so long as I'm looking out in the field and seeing attack vectors that I can recognize and that I can vet with other people and say, is that happening? Yes. Okay. So then we must assume that they're capable of this, and this, then, right? And so if we account for that, then we can come up with a game theory or a theory to address it, or a solution that can minimize it and give us the true liberty and autonomy and self-direction and self-determination that we need.
So how far are you from it?
3 to 6 months from funding. Oh, we're going to have a huge update on the app in this summer. It's going to go from more of like a Instagram, Facebook-y style to more of a Netflix-y, content providing. So you essentially would be able to come on there if you had like your own paywall, right, and your own followers. You could actually do that on the app and reach your entire audience. So let's say you had 20,000 followers on Facebook, but when you put out something, it only reaches like 1%. On Fireon, it'll reach all of them. It'll just come up in their feed. So it's like it's much better for all of the content creators and providers out there who want to actually reach their audience without having to go through a paywall. That's not how we make money, right? We make money on transactions, and hopefully you join the bank and become a part owner. So we're going to be providing the rails for that freedom to post what you like on our secured servers. Nobody can take it down unless they take our servers down, which is possible, but it's not owned by anybody else, right? And then that's stage one. Stage two is we turn on the banking and transactional and exchange system. So we start generating revenue right away. And then stage three is we go from servers to a quantum-based new internet that exists in one lab in the world. And I can't say more than that, because
you need to talk to, you need to go on Tim Pool's show. Like, you need to talk to Ethan. Like, he talks about all of this stuff. He was one of the guys that started Minds, the app. Like, he's
very cool.
Like,
I would love to. I feel
I've got no love over there. Like, I can't insert you there.
Yeah.
But I think the way to get there is to reach out to Ethan on his personal social media.
Okay. Yeah. It comes in waves, I've noticed. Like, I get on one thing and like I go to a bunch of things, but I stopped doing baseline because just a number of reasons. And it's like, it's all timing. And I don't want to come out and be like, hey, we're going to do all this amazing stuff. And all of these cool people are like, how can we help? And I'm like, you can't really until we get this funding in place, right? Or this deal goes through, or that deal goes through, and I don't want to just have people hanging, and it makes me feel bad. Like, I thought when we raised our initial $500,000 that boom, it was just going to be like a domino and everybody's going to be like, yeah, but then it didn't happen. And I was like, oh, fuck, but this is my prophetic purpose and this is all I'm going to be doing in my life. So it's just a matter of time, and I'm becoming more and more forged. Like, the person I was 2 years ago, even a year ago, is different than who I am now. And the person that I was not capable of executing on this. The person I am now is capable, and the person I will become in the next few months is even more, right? And over the course of time. So I expect what will happen is that once that funding comes through, I'm going to hire somebody who's going to get me on all these shows. And like, what's weird is that I applied to be on Joe Rogan, and I had my entire community write them. And there must have been like a couple hundred letters that went in, or emails, and like, heard nothing. And I don't know of anybody that's been on there that has had that big of a groundswell, So I'm at an odd place, and I kind of wonder, like, God, why are you holding this back from me for a reason? Like, do we need to have certain things happen first? So, but I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. Like, I feel like I'm living my purpose and my dream. So it will happen. It's just a matter of timing, right?
I think a lot of it comes down to, anytime I've ever done anything in life, the difference between right and wrong, right? You have that, whether you want to admit it or not, you have that conversation in your head. We know when something is somewhat questionable.
Yep.
And I think that the people in control do not know that any longer, right? They are so far removed. When you govern over somebody and you cannot walk amongst them, there's probably something going on there. When you have to have huge security, like the last president, he was out all over the place. Like, I'm amazed that somebody did not try to take him out at distance, or something crazy happened, right?
They did. There were a couple attempts, but nobody really knows about them. I know about a couple, but yeah, there was several attempts, and there were a lot of good, not a lot, but a couple good people really, ended up dying for that. So it is, and there are crazies out there. It's not really hard to get a drone swarm and take somebody out. Elon Musk has even explained how to do that,
Yeah.
But yes, I agree with you. It's like, I think that, and I could be wrong, but I don't feel wrong about this. I think that if people really understood what this world was and what we were as beings and what really is going on around us, there's biological stuff within us that prevents us from seeing 99.9% of reality, right? The reticular formation in the lower part of the brain filters out 99.9% of reality, right? And so we get to deal with the things that we can see. But if you think about it, just as a thought experiment, there are literally millions of bandwidths of frequencies going on around us that we can't see. If you've ever done ethnogens or any mind altering stuff like DMT or whatever, I've actually never done DMT, but what I understand is that I've done LSD and ayahuasca and things like that. But like the air and the molecules around you are like living. There's information there. We don't see it because we parse it out and it's not immediately useful to us as a biological life form, but it's there and we're swimming in it. And subconsciously it affects us at an electromagnetic frequency level. And so what I think is that as we are entering this area in space and as the frequency of our planet is shifting, people are starting to remember, wake up and be like, whoa, wait a minute. Meanwhile, the systems of control have ensconced and entrenched themselves at a certain bandwidth, and our bandwidth is shifting above and beyond what that is. And that the containment system, the thoughts, the universities, the institutions no longer suffice. And there are more and more of us waking up to this increased awareness, and you can't enslave beings who are sovereign, who understand their eternal nature, who understand that consciousness is not localized into this body, but it exists as a frequency, as it exists as a complex, right? And when people start to identify, and that's why I think religion is very important in spirituality, because when you start to identify as that non-localized field of awareness, you are in a field of love. You are eternal, right? And there's no enslaving an eternal sovereign being. And so unless we build our cultural and economic systems on that foundation, it will falter. And once we build it on that and truly respect the sovereign being as a representation of the Almighty and the infinite creator, and recognize that in one another, we will be enslaved. And so if we can create institutionalized systems that incentivize people to awaken, accept, and grow into that, then we win. Then we win.
Well, I think people are dumbed down, right? Intentionally. Chemicals in the water, chemicals in detergent, these things especially, magnetic fields, right?
Yep.
I mean, if you look at, it's said that in past in history there was free energy. You've always heard about the guys that had the carburetors and the vehicles that would run 10 times longer. And a lot of those people, even as recently as the last 6 months, when you have people come out making claims like that, they get involved in shootings and stuff like that. They get involved in mass
mysterious accidents.
Yeah, subway shootings, and a guy who had an F-150 that would run 100 miles, on a 1 gallon of gas or whatever, miraculously died in the incident. That guy is related to another dude who had a claim who died in mysterious ways. It's just crazy. I think that we are capable of more for sure, but it's the constant fight or flight, right? It's the constant cortisol. It's the constant, oh my God, this month this is going to kill us, and this month this is going to kill us. And it's just back and forth, It's literally, it's blocking your brain capacity.
Correct.
The thing is, something's going to kill you.
Yes.
And once you get over that, it's a lot easier to deal with what's going to kill you this month.
That's
it isn't
right.
going to kill you at all.
That's right. So in Philippians 2, verse 8, it says, and being found in appearance as man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. That struck me today. Obedient to death means you're going to die. It's inevitable, right? You have to honor that. You have to accept that. And you have to realize that once you do, then you can truly become free. That's the path to freedom, is you understand that you will perish. And at some point, right? The Vikings understood this, and they said, I will not perish on a bed of straw. I will perish in battle, because that is of my choosing, and it is my way to honor the gods, God, whatever, and be like my fullness, my capability. I will live to the fullest, knowing that I'm going to be out of here. So I'm going to make sure it's beautiful. I'm going to make sure it's impactful. I'm going to make sure that it makes some effect and leaves it better, right? So that, I think, is something that we all need a little bit more of. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it. It's like, you're going to die. Fucking get over it. Get to work, right? So that's I think what you're saying, John, and I think we need more of that, Nicole. I think we need people to, but what am I going to do, little me, against this horrible, huge system that is outside of my control and capabilities? Well, I'm going to go and
do something. That's all.
Do something.
Just do something.
That's it. Right. And then and we're all going to find each other, and we're all going to be like, that's the fucking thing. Let's go, right? And we're going to be ready to that. But yes, somebody slims just like we're too busy with mundane and trivial tasks that profit others and pull us away from the divine. It's true. It's really true. Right, we're caught up in it's like Pinocchio's land with everybody turns into jackasses. You know, if you remember Pinocchio, he went to like this little like
island.
Yeah, and everybody turns into jackasses. So like, quit being a jackass.
Yeah, that's the thing that people don't realize, I think, or that we over rotate or over analyze what can be done. And I've been giving talks on the concept of underground networking for almost a year now. And everyone is a little bit different because there are aspects of it. But at the end of the day, the whole point of network or underground network is to use that to opt out of the economy that is crashing right now. Not that economies are bad, not that participation in economies are bad. Quite the contrary. Mm-hmm. Don't ask permission to be your own economy, to participate in any economy you want to, not the economy, right? We are an economy. We are an ecosystem. We've already got the foundation of what we need to thrive. So stop asking permission to do that. Yeah. The problem is we're standing here saying, may I please, instead of taking the step and then another step.
So true. I mean, and we've talked about this on the Goose before. It's like, even if you take a little step towards self-reliance, you know, it's empowering. It feels good. It's like, okay, I've got food on lock. I can create my own food. Like, wow, that's amazing.
Whoa!
Right? And then like, yeah, right. Like you grow one little garden and it's so relieving. It's like, it's divine. There's something amazing about caretaking and stewarding, you know, that just, you become love in action, and that becomes the foundation of your life. Right. And then lo and behold, you start becoming more self-reliant and more anti-fragile. Somebody just posted a comment that Jordan Peterson is really brilliant, and he really is. He's a keen mind, and we're lucky to have him. I think he and people like Gary, you know, and you guys, you know, are inspiring people to move and be and get back on track. And I think we've gone so far. I remember watching It's a Wonderful Life, right? That movie where he's like, I want to die, and so he sees the life that it would exist without him. And that movie was great, but the thing that got me was in the very opening sequence. It was the stars going down on the city or the little town, and you heard all these people praying for each other. It's like the stars were up there, and you could hear people praying for each other. And my God, like, where is that, right? We lost that, and we lost that. And I don't want to say we lost it. I think it just diminished. I listened to an old man this morning talking about how when he was a kid, people used to do that more regularly. And how, you know,
I think we just stuffed it under the bed, Xavier. We didn't lose it. We stuffed it under the bed.
I like that. I'm going to use that. That's really beautiful. Yeah, because people used to pray for each other. There used to be prayer in school. I remember hating the Pledge of Allegiance because I was like, yeah, fuck this country. It's, you know, genocide and killed all the Indians and, you know, all of this stuff. Like, yeah, but we were imperfect. We, like all beings, right? Even now, and there didn't used to exist freedom. Everything was tyranny, monarchy, until the United States existed.
Okay, I want to comment on this. What are the best money makers, products or services for the apocalypse? And I think, Freedom Media, that you're thinking about it all wrong. There are not the best money makers for the apocalypse. Anything you do is a money maker or is a barter option. It doesn't matter what it is. People still need food. People still need relationships. People still need help with medical situations. People still have kids that they want to maybe tap into somebody else's knowledge to help them learn a thing. Like, I don't see it as a separate sector. It's just that we are allowing ourselves to fall slave to, it's not produced from the system over here, so therefore I don't have it. Well, then produce it. So anything you do is a potential money maker / lifestyle supporter. I was on a walk Tuesday, and I looked up at my favorite pawpaw tree, and I'm like, dang, there's a bunch of pawpaws up there. And that means this 1 week in September, I'm going to have a pawpaw every day for 7 days, because that's about how long they're going to be ripe for, and then I don't preserve them. And I was like, this is awesome. The world is just like giving me pawpaws. Well, you know what? I could turn that into abundance and sell some of my pawpaws to somebody else and trade them for some. You know, it's all there. We just
I'll buy one.
We just need to tap into it.
Yeah.
With that said, we're definitely going to take care of our surgeons and our dentists and our delivery people, right? Like, we have those people in our network. Luckily, they're all very highly trained, right? But I mean, anything at all, freedom, like anything, food, right? Clothing. I mean, imagine if you had to go buy shoes. I think that every morning when I put shoes on, and I have shoes stored that are 5-10 years old, and the adhesives are starting to fail, right?
Yeah.
And I think every time I pick up an old 2-person saw, right, I think, holy shit, I hope I never have to use this for real.
That's a lot of work.
Right.
And back to what you were saying, you know, it's momentum, the garden, right? It's momentum, because you see the fruits of your labor immediately, and it empowers you, right? And then be contagious. Just do things worth doing, and other people will want to be a part of it, right? You will find that a community will come to you just simply by doing good things and then just showing them, right? You have to attract them somehow, but word of mouth. We don't have big paid advertisement campaigns for our event that started with 200 people. We're going to have 650 people here in 2 weeks. We didn't buy any of those people. That's all. It's just community and word of mouth.
That's amazing.
Just do things worth doing. And you know when you're doing them, you know when you're sitting on that couch with that controller for a video game, or you've got the remote to the TV in your hand, that is amusement. That literally, it's no thought, right? It takes away from you, and by design, it is to keep you from achieving next level.
So I finally understood TikTok, because John Willis made me go on TikTok. Well, he convinced me I should actually try to go on TikTok. And it's the biggest time waste in the world, right? Well, then I was like, no, I'm just going to allocate time every day and try to understand this TikTok thing. The power of TikTok, which I know can be shut down like that, right, Xavier? Because you can totally get kicked off for speaking your mind, is you've got people saying whatever the hell they want to say. And that sparks an idea, which sparks an idea, which sparks an idea. TikTok aside, that's a brand, right? Like, that capacity that technology brings us is, I think, part of why this cycle of awakening is so awesome. Because now more than ever, we can just communicate with each other, and then we build on each other's ideas. And that's where the power is. That's why I keep saying, just start doing something. Even if you only have 3 people watching your channel, start a channel if you want to start a channel. Get out. I mean, Xavier got COVID and was unable to fly to Jack Spirko's workshop, and he was all dressed up in a suit for the airport. And so he recorded his first baseline episode as a joke. And what did that turn into for a while?
Yeah, that was like 60,000 subscribers, messages every day, opportunities. Fireon. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do something a little less gimmicky. I like people to. I want other business people to take me seriously. So I'm gonna do a little bit something less gimmicky. But still stick it to the 3-minute, couple minute, framework or whatever. But I wanted to answer this best moneymaker apocalypse services. So as an investor, I have portions for real estate, portions for crypto, portions for stock. But I also have like a percentage that is to seeds, guns, liquor, tobacco, basic barter items, toilet paper, things that are going to be useful. And musicians and artists, like, that's probably not your career choice at the apocalypse stage. That's more of like, I go and do things, make things, and then that is the entertainment. Like, it's going to be no need for basketball players, no need for football players. It's the things that are hard services, like the shoes, like the hardware and goods, right? That people need to actually grow food. That will become food, water, health. Those are going to become some of the number one priorities for people. Medicine specifically, and not like pharmaceutical medicines. Herbalism is going to be a huge deal, right? Both my wife and she's a master herbalist and I'm an acolyte, right? So I know enough to create antivirals and stuff like that. But those would be the things. They're all like cottage industry stuff right now. So you might not make a whole hell of a lot of money doing it, but you can also use TikTok, and expand your market. And you still have a little bit of time on TikTok. Like, people are still becoming uber well known,
Yeah.
So the thing with TikTok is the hashtags have been used 4 times more. If I got 1 million on a hashtag on Instagram, it's been used 4 million times on TikTok. My audience seems to be completely different. TikTok is a video platform. Instagram came out a year ago. CEO said, we're now a video platform. We're no longer a photo hosting platform. And then Instagram throttled all their stuff back. TikTok, when they did that, TikTok said, fuck you guys. And they opened it up. So it just works. Use it while it works. It's a new audience. It's new customers. It's new ideas. I can build a video, and then you can take my video and tile it side by side and give your rebuttal. So you have interaction between the ideas. It works. I'm not huge on TikTok, but my TikTok is doubling every month with no effort.
I've got 5 talks up there. I've got 5 things up there, and out of the chute with no followers, 500,000 views.
Right.
That's what's crazy. People are actually seeing stuff there.
And with Jason, the moonshine guy, making a video going, hey, follow Nicole, you'll be to 1,000. You'll be to 1,000 followers tomorrow night, next night maybe, and then you can go live. You can do live, and you can do longer videos.
Yeah, that would be great.
What happened to me is I started doing political stuff. I don't know if you ever saw Baseline, John, but it was like Max Headroom meets like a British
I loved it.
mod guy. I did too. I really did. But I started getting really angry, and I got angry because
Don't do things that make you angry, X.
I know it didn't. I wasn't angry at doing Baseline. It was like a reprieve. But I got angry, and I was putting on this fake like, hey, everything's cool. But I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? How come you're not doing something about this? And and then they started throttling my views, and then they started throttling my followers, and I started getting shadow banned. And I know what shadow banning is because I know how it works, because I have a social media app that knows how to shadow ban. Never done it, but I know how it works. And so it's like you end up in an echo chamber, and I wasn't growing, and I was getting angry, and I'm like, okay, it's great. And I know everybody was like, you should keep going. But I was like waking up early and being resentful of my audience for not doing something, and resentful at God and like all of this stuff. Like, I should be funded by now, and then I was warned that like I was under investigation and shit. And I was like, this is the last thing I need. I need to step back, strategize, figure out what the next steps are, get those next steps underway, get protections in place, and then go full throttle. So, and plus, it's like, I got some advice from my advisors, and they're like, besides the investigation thing, they were like, investors won't take you seriously if they see you joking around every morning, about political stuff. So I was like, all right. But then I started meeting Trump's guys and people and all this stuff. And I was like, well, this could actually work to my benefit. Either way, I quit smoking cigarettes and I got really angry. So it's just a matter of time now before I get motivated and get back to it.
Hey, the minute you launch that, let me know and I'll tell everybody, by the way.
Hey, love you. Okay.
I mean, we'll get the word out. Okay, what kind of holder or tech do I need to do videos of my Rottweiler? This is the holder I most use when I'm doing videos with my phone. It has 5 very flexible sorts of, flesh-colored things. Sometimes I grab this, there are a lot. It doesn't matter, is what I'm trying to say. Start making videos of your Rottweilers, and the minute you have freeze-dried rabbit dog food, you let me know about that too, because I'm sure my dogs would like to try it.
Yeah, we have $2,000 a week camera guys. We have $1,000 a week camera guys. Every single thing you've ever seen me put on Instagram or Facebook has been right here. All my 4 a.m. videos, they're right here. The stuff that goes on YouTube, we shoot. I have big, huge cameras. We shoot 99% of it on a GoPro with a flexi arm. It's waterproof. We can drop them.
Are you doing videos at 4 a.m.?
Yeah, every morning at 4:30 a.m. I do a video. Yeah, I get up at 4:30. I immediately do a video. I come in here and cardio for an hour, and then we're standing in a gym right here. This is in my shop here. So then I work out.
Badass.
So I've done really everything that I need to do in the day before I see another human being.
Yeah. That's my schedule too. I get up at 5, but I was actually considering getting up at 4:30, doing my walk with God, my workout, my run, and then doing 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock the video, and then 6 to 7 my writing, and then 7 I wake up with the kids and do calisthenics with them and stuff, and then get them off to school. 8 o'clock I'm in the gym, and then 9 o'clock to 12 is my work block, for contracts, phone calls, lunch. Either just eat at my house, or I'll go to the beach and do meditation, and then 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock next work block, pick up the kids, hang with them for a little bit, and then garden in the evening, right? And then
do you need breath work?
Yeah, so I do fire breath, right? 3 sets of 10, and then I think about the 3 things I'm most grateful for, then 3 people that I want to pray for, and then I walk and I imagine I'm talking with Jesus and Melchizedek, right? And then I do an intense walking thing where I breathe in 4 times and then out 2. And then do that over and over and over again, walking, and that works out gets my cardio, my heart rate up, and then my metabolism up.
And it releases the available oxygen. Your energy is just so much higher. Do you do any cold baths and sauna? You ever do any of that stuff?
So I do steam room, right? I do run and take part in sweat lodges, which is a Native American ceremony. But when I'm not doing those, at my gym they actually have a steam room, which is why I go to that gym. And it's literally I'll go to a gym, all the weight machines, I don't give a shit, as long as they've got a good steam room and it's not full of creepers, then I'm in. Because I also, and when I work out, I do 1 rep of each thing. So, or not a set, 1 rep, 60 seconds, 30 seconds up, 30 seconds down, right? For each thing. And I do that once, maybe I'll do 2 sets, and then I do that till failure. And then I go sit in the steam room for the half hour. So I work out for 10 to 15 minutes, and then I go to the steam room for a half hour.
Awesome.
And that's sort of my schedule. 8 to 9 a.m. I do that.
Awesome.
All of the morning workouts.
Well,
yeah.
I used to be completely anti morning workout. My ideal time to work out was 10 to 11. And then I started getting up and going for a walk, and it completely changed my life to do that. Just getting that activity first thing makes a huge difference. And I was like, oh, now I get it. Now I get the morning workout. I was wrong. Yeah.
And for anybody listening to this, one of the most important things that we did not say, and I'm sure Xavier does this as well, is none of this, right?
Nope.
No social media, no electronics. The first 30 minutes, it's very important. Your life will change if you can get up and be in your own head for 30. But I need to take notes. Get a 99-cent journal and write it down, right? Yep, write that thing down. I am telling you, the most actionable thing you can do that costs nothing is spend your first 30 minutes of the day without one of these, and you will be amazed what will happen. Your creativity will come back. Solutions to problems that you've had that you've just been delaying, it'll come back. And I start every day with the first 3 things that I don't want to do, and they're often very minuscule. And you will find that it could be something as silly as just putting something away, right? But if you do 3 things every day, your whole entire area and your life around you looks completely different within a week. And it's just such small, and that builds momentum.
People underestimate how long things take. My favorite example is the dishwasher, unloading the dishwasher. I became aware that it takes less than 2 minutes to unload the dishwasher because I started, if I was microwaving something for a minute to heat it, I'd see, well, how far can I get on the dishwasher? And I would have like 3 dishes left. And meanwhile, here's how the dishwasher used to be in my life. Like, dishwasher is clean, needs to be unloaded. Worry about the fucking thing all day long and not do it.
Right.
And it's literally 2 minutes. And I've spent more time thinking about the stupid thing rather than thinking about something actually productive in my life than just unloading the damn dishwasher. So you're right on with that. Do 3 things you hate, John. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We spent years with the dishwasher. The plates lived in the dishwasher, and then we would use them and wash them and put them back in the dishwasher. We have employees. We have employees here. We've had awesome chefs that worked here. We've had people that just prepare awesome, amazing meals. But when all the CUFUS was going on, I felt it, maybe in the beginning there was something to it. I felt it was important enough to take responsibility, and I did the dishes. And I still, out of habit, I still do the dishes. I do dishes for 20 people every day. It takes less than 13 minutes to do all the dishes.
Yep. I
you
grew
have
up in
the
a
right
household.
dishwasher for that, John.
But even prior to that, I mean, we haven't always had a commercial sterilizer. Like, we used to do dishes by hand all the time.
Yeah.
I grew up doing the dishes in my household every day, every night. I learned to work hard. The other thing is laundry. Like, my kids will let their laundry pile up until my wife is like, has to do it. And then it's like a big chore. There's piles and piles. So I've been teaching them. I'm like, they make their own lunches now. As young as 5 years old, they started making their lunches, probably earlier than that. For the next day of school, they come home, they have a routine. It's like, do these things, then you can chill the fuck out and do whatever you want, right? No tech except on the weekends. And only then is it like supervised, right? You can't watch shows randomly or YouTube. If you want to watch something, you check out one of the pads and you say, this is my assignment and what I want to do with it right now. And then, okay, cool. But like laundry, it's like, now they all know how to do this. They know how to do their laundry, and they do it on the weekend. Everybody has their and it takes them 5 minutes to finish it. And it's like, why would you guys want to sit for 2 hours and do laundry when you could just do it like that and be done and like have more time for yourself? So it's about efficiencies and discipline is the biggest thing. Like what you said, John, it's like getting up at 4:30 every day and doing it whether you want to or not. If you have the discipline, that's what separates the winners from the losers in the game of life, right? Doing what you have to when you don't want to. Like, I sit and write. Some days I can't. I get 2 sentences and I can't do anything more. But it's at least I'm sitting and doing it.
Right. Be excited to do things. And do everything as though it's important, because that's practice for the shit that, even if it's not important, pretend it is. You will be surprised at how fast, how much you compress the things you don't like to do, and how much time you have left to do the ones you do.
Yeah. And even those things that you don't think are important probably are more important than you realize if you're doing them. Like, what are you doing that's not important? Then why are you doing it? There's obviously a reason it's important.
Now, look, Obi-Wan Kenobi is very important. And like, there are things that I do for relaxation, right? Like Marvel and Star Wars are some of my things. Like if I am going to spend my time in leisure, like those, I listen when I'm driving, when I'm not listening to podcasts or bettering myself podcasts or like Jack or whatever, I listen to Marvel theories and things like that. That's my escapism. And I enjoy it, and it's valuable to me. It makes me feel happy. So definitely get in your play, right?
So Freedom Media, did you write 4 novels? You have 4 published novels? Is that what you're saying? So I like to look at my day as 4 days. I have 4 6-hour days in every day, and the typical person is going to sleep for 6. They're going to work for 8. Let's call it 8, right? Just to make it easy. You're going to sleep for 8. You're going to work for 8, and then you have 8. So what are you doing with the other 8, right? If you don't have what you want, if you're not where you want to be, you have 8 hours of free time. And typically, if we're honest, the average employee who's paid to be at work 8 hours really only works 3.5 to 4 hours. So they're piddling around. There's a cell phone. So if you're in the bathroom for 45 minutes, can you not get some work done on your phone, right?
That's right. That's right. And if you do social media content, I respond to everybody who messages me. I have made, and this is a pet peeve of mine, I've tried to get in touch with some people who don't even have big of a following, and they just have completely ignored my attempts to reach out to them. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with, like, who are you? You know? And I would actually, if anybody wanted to DM me in the Fireon community or even on TikTok, like I have had phone calls with everybody who wanted one. Like, I am so approachable, I think, that I want to talk to you. Like, maybe there's a business opportunity, that maybe there's a way we can benefit one another or enrich each other's lives. Like, people think that they're important and they're not. And like, yeah, there's a lot more I can say to that, but I think ultimately, like, if you're doing any social media stuff, it's important that you respond personally to everybody. I was doing that on TikTok. And that, when you were saying, if you're sitting on the toilet for 45 minutes, what are you doing with it? I was doing that. I was literally on the bathroom, you know, responding to everybody in my friendly announcer voice, you know, and I built relationships out of that.
Yeah.
I'm not that good. I try to respond, but I don't get everybody. I just do my best.
She was saying also she'll put herself in an hour timeout if she finds herself being distracted. If you start to set a timer on a watch or a phone, set a timer for 60 minutes that goes every 60 minutes, right? Once you've done it a few hundred times, you won't have to do it anymore. But when that timer goes off, stop and ask yourself, did I just use that 60 minutes, right? Did I use it to the best? What was I really doing? Did I accomplish anything? Am I proud of it? I like to tell people at the end of the day, what does your highlight reel look like? And importantly also, that highlight reel, what is the thumbnail for that? If everybody operated as though a video camera was following them around, imagine how different your life would look. And it's not that it's not that you're not doing good things. It's that we spend a lot, and I'm talking about me. I spend a lot of time caught up. Let me make this post on, Instagram real fast. And TikTok's the worst. When you go to back out of TikTok, you got to back out of it 3 times. It's got, there's boobs, there's motorcycles, there's lions jumping. Like, they know how to capture you. And
are you on boobs and motorcycle TikTok?
I have not gotten any boobs on my feed yet.
I need to be on boobs TikTok.
It's destroyed our attention span, right? Especially because you have 1 second to capture them to possibly get them to watch for 3. And if you get 3, you better have your call to action in 4 and 5.
I disciplinated it. I disciplined it. I disciplinated it. Like, I said, this is my work time, and I'm actually going to message everybody. And when I started Baseline, I thought about it. I'm like, how can I be most efficient with my time and do the least amount of work, but get the biggest amount of impact? This is the only thing I'm going to post. This show, when you look at my feed, that's all you see, like the same thing, right? So it's consistency. I started doing some other things towards the end where I would, like, do music or whatever, and people like that would never get the same reach, but it was good for me and I was happy about it. But it was like, here's my time to do it, and here's my commenting throughout the day. If I'm going to be on, let me be productive, And so, but it was like, this is the kind of content I'm going to do, only this and nothing else. I don't post pictures of my food. I don't do any of these things. Like, if you go look at my Instagram or TikTok or whatever, it's all the same stuff. And so it was like consistency and branding, and then, follow through and structuring it in my day where I could still work and do other things, while being productive and getting the word out there. So, yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah.
Okay. X, I know you gotta scoot pretty soon. So is there anything you want to talk about before we wrap up? Just wanted to give you a whatever you want to say opportunity.
Oh, wow. Thanks. I intend, John, to your point, like, imagine if you had a camera following you every day. That is going to be my life. They have these 360 cameras now that you can set up on a tripod. Did you ever see The Fifth Element?
Yes.
Remember? And he had like a radio. He was like, Dallas Coleman. That guy? I think it was Chris Rock or whatever.
Yeah, it was Chris Rock.
No.
Or Tucker.
Yeah. Tucker. Yeah, not Tucker Carlson, but Chris Tucker. So I'm going to have a staff with that 360 thing, and I'm going to record all my meetings. I'm going to record history in the making is the way I'm going to think about it. It's like, let's record this for posterity, for the future generations to see what was happening now. Like, I think we don't think enough of how this is going to affect us many generations, or that, you know, like I see memes of like, oh, look at grandma's old pictures, she's really showing her ass a lot, you know. It's like we are not thinking how this is going to be perceived in the future, and I think we need to and start living for that. And so I'm going to have a camera crew following me every day, managing all the social media stuff and the messaging. It always has to be, you know, the world. Here's how we enculturate each other and build a world worth living in. And I think that if everybody had the opportunity to be watched, you know, it's like Jim Carrey says it, I wish everybody could be famous for a little bit so they could understand that it means nothing, you know?
So it's history, which broken down is his story, right? So you might as well tell it how you want it told.
Boom.
Imagine, and as far as, and to you, the camera thing, imagine if we just had cameras in classrooms. Like, why do we not have cameras in classrooms? Well, we can't show the kids. Okay, so have a camera in front of the teacher so that parents can see what's being said to their kids, because it's in daycare. Every daycare you send your kid to, for 20 years ago, we put our kids in a daycare. We could see, maybe it wasn't 20, but it was we were in San Diego. So over 15, 16 years ago, I could see online my kids' classrooms.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like technology couldn't blur out faces automatically anyway. I'm sure that.
Yeah,
can be
we
done
do it on my Panic Prepper videos. That's an automated thing that blurs my face out. We do a satire Panic Prepper video once a week, and my YouTube channel
they're
locked.
Hilarious. You have to watch
my YouTube
it.
channel got locked for medical disinformation, and I said clearly, this is satire. But I don't know how JP, whatever his name is, the redhead comedian, I don't know how they get away with it.
That guy. That fucker. Yeah, no, fuck that guy. Because as soon as I started doing baseline, I started messaging him. I'm like, hey, we should do a thing. You're awesome. I love your work. He was one of these motherfuckers who never responded. Instead, he started doing his own version of baseline. And I was like, motherfucker. You know, so I looked up to you.
So on Instagram, I have 3 DM sections, right? I have like basically I have friends, and then I have acquaintances, right? That's how it sets it up. And then there's an other. And in my other, I get over 1,000 DMs. Like I try to act, if it's actionable, if it's like, hey, right on, I just, heart it. But if people have a big following, like I have 700,000 people on Facebook, I've got about 65,000 on Instagram. I do try to get through that. And it is to the point where I'm going to have to bring on staff just to handle that. Like I do try every night. I get in bed at about 10, I try to be in bed at 10:30. Sometimes it's 11. Computer's in my lap till midnight, and I'm almost always just going through and replying to our YouTube comments.
That's amazing. So that answers one of the questions in the chat. Would you be financially successful, or would your businesses be successful if you didn't engage in social media? Narrows the gate.
I have that conversation, right? Why do I have such a big audience? Because I was on CNN, because I went to federal prison, because every black helicopter and everything in the world was at my shop for 3 days.
Wait. Okay, hold up. Let's just walk back a little bit. Were you visiting federal prison, or you were actually in federal
he was
prison?
in.
No, I was in Lompoc for 22 months.
For fucking what, bro?
Machine guns, explosives. So they said we had machine guns and explosives. The dust settles. They had felon in possession of firearms when I was 15 years old. I was in a vehicle with some drugs. Tried as an adult. Got me off. I was old. I was 17 and a half. Turned 18, juvenile hall. Got out right before Christmas. But tried as an adult because time served. As an adult, the amount of drugs that were in the vehicle, no big deal. I was in a vehicle with 22 kilos of cocaine. It was a lot. Yeah. So I get out. I'm on unsupervised probation. I do probation for about 6 months, and they're like, okay, you are no longer on probation. You're on probation, but you don't have to sign forms. So 3 years, I'm supposed to be able to get my record expunged, and then I can go into military or whatever. I started my business. I was dabbling in it prior, and it just kind of took off, and I never went in the military, never expunged my stuff. 14 years, 3 weeks shy of 14 years later, federal search warrant, explode the door. They raid locations, several locations, SWAT teams, guns, the whole deal, right? Big. So They don't arrest me that day. They take 2 Ryder trucks full of shit, one from my house, one from my shop, and they steal a ton of stuff and they take off. 2 weeks later, and so I have an attorney. It's a long story, man. I know you don't have time for this, and I'll be happy to do an interview.
No, I got
with
6
you.
more minutes. I would love Nicole.
Yeah.
Can I get your number from Nicole and we chat?
Yes, of course. Yes,
that would be amazing.
Yeah. So
yeah,
they come back, rearrest me, guns, trucks, slide sideways, the whole shit again. After my attorney's like, "Hey, we'll self-surrender." So I bail out, and I'm out on bail for 2 years. The publicity from CNN immediately when we get back in the shop, fix the windows, we start pulling voicemail, and it's like, "Hey, bro, I don't know what's going on, but I want to buy everything you have if you're going out of business." So we sold everything we had. I had $63,000 about 3 days later in the bank account. We scaled from 6 employees to 12 overnight. We started rolling machines in. Within 6 months, I had done $1 million. I'd never broke $100,000. I did $1 million in sales that 6 months, did like almost 2 that year. And we scaled. I was running 36 employees. We were running shifts, 3 shifts of sewing machine operators. And I was having the best time of my life. Like I would literally forget that I'm going to prison, right? So felon possession of firearms. My attorney, he's like, "You might get off on this, but they're going to charge your mom for a straw man purchase." We were buying guns. The guns were not even at my residence. They were in a safe at a shop behind a locked door. We were buying them originally. We were like when San Diego PD picked up Glock 17s. We bought a Glock because we made a tack holster for it. So mom bought the gun, built the holster. When I left and moved the shop from mom's, the guns just went up to Oceanside. There was no crime. There was no illegal guns. There was no short barrel weapons. The fact was that I had access to the guns. That's literally what it was. And had it been 3 more weeks, it would have been a 14-year demarcation under federal sentencing guidelines. It would have been probation. There was 3 search warrants. 2 search warrants were never executed. I have 4,800 pages of disclosure paperwork. My name is on, having to do with me is about 900 pages, maybe. And the judge, it was in there, in that paperwork, that the magistrate said, "I'm not reissuing another search warrant. If you don't execute this, this case is dead." Followed us to Las Vegas, helicopters, 17 phone lines tapped. I mean, crazy shit, like movie shit.
Yep. I have
so
my own movie shit, but nothing like that.
We still have tons of law enforcement friends, federal law enforcement, local law enforcement friends in California, right? They will.
Where are you at now?
I'm in Tennessee, middle of nowhere, Camden, Tennessee, between Memphis and Nashville. But they will eat their own. Like the new thing, if they want you, kiddie porn. They don't even have to prove it. They'll just ruin your life just by saying it.
Yep. That's why I stopped baseline a little bit, because I was.
Yeah, I understand.
I
understand.
Because what I'm building, it changes the game, and I've dealt with some of that, not as like they tried to kidnap me, they tried to kill me, like stuff like that, but not the institution being used against me, right? So God bless you.
Once you see that, right, and that's why they make such an example of people. They have to make an example. They took all those people from the 6th and locked them up, right? Because it gives the next guys an idea. It plants that seed. Do I want to do that, right? 99% of people in federal system get prosecuted. Only 1% get off of that shit, right? You're in the federal system, you are guilty until you can prove you are innocent. It does not work like people think it works. And K-Bonk says, couldn't you have got replica guns? Red guns did not exist. Rings manufacturing blue gun, they didn't exist when we started doing this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. God bless you. That's an amazing story.
But it's
I can
part
tell.
of my story. It's part of my story, right? And
right.
I use that. Guys would be like, "But you're a felon." Yeah, I am. So what's your excuse for inaction, right? How come you're not where you're on my videos talking about me, but when I clicked on your name, I didn't see any of your videos.
Right. That's amazing. Wow. Thanks for having me on, guys. This was really incredible.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made time for us today, and hopefully we'll get you back on another time to talk about the 2.0 discussion that we wanted to go into that we just ran out of time for. John, you want to say anything before we sign off?
Nicole, I can go for a few more minutes. I know Xavier's got to take off, but we can answer some of the questions over here on the sidebar if you want to.
Sure, we'll do that. Xavier, go ahead and we'll talk to you later.
God bless. And maybe you could open up the text chat with the two of us. All right. Yes. God bless. Thanks for your.
I'll put you two in touch on Facebook.
All right. Peace out.
Awesome.
Or text if it's okay. Text would be great.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Adios.
Yep.
All right. I saw some questions in here. Anybody have anything they wanted answered that we didn't address?
Hey, I want to address a couple things while you're putting you guys, if you have a question, put it in chat. First couple words in all caps. While those are coming in, let's talk a little bit about Self-Reliance Festival logistics for people who have, I'm going to do a standalone video. Because of the number of people coming, we are using most of the SOE campus for people, which means parking, $5 a car for the weekend at the gas station at the entrance to Special Operations Equipment, except the paved area is for gas station customers. So there's a gravel area. There will be staff there showing you where to park. Once that's full, you're on your own for parking. There are some areas nearby for parking. Do you want to add anything to that, John?
No, I don't think so. We have some other parking options as well. There is a hotel that's been torn down. It's about a 3-minute walk. You can park there. I don't know I don't know if we have a parking guy designating spaces or how that's going to work. I'm going to take the property next door and hog down. I'm going to run a brush hog over there and clean all that front area up. We'll be able to put a bunch of cars there too. There will be people out there directing you on how to park. Don't be an asshole, right?
Yeah.
Don't pull in here cockeyed. Don't bring a trailer in and park it sideways. If you see, we need to put as many people in these places as we can.
Yeah, and we've got somebody dedicated to parking. I have also asked, and if you're interested in volunteering, email me, Nicole@livingfreeintennessee.com, or go to livingfreeintennessee.com and click on the contact form and fill that out, or go to Self-Reliance Festival. Contact forms are going to me as well. I'm looking for about 5 more volunteers. If you volunteer and you already have a ticket, 1 2-hour segment gives you half your ticket cost back. 2 2-hour segments gives you your whole ticket cost back. So we're looking to finish out volunteers for parking, for working registration, and then what we call runners, which kind of oversee that the water is refilled for people who need water, and garbages are taken out so that we don't have a garbage buildup. And we have shifts defined this time. So go ahead.
Somebody had asked, would my business be financially successful without social media? I would say that it would, because my business was financially successful 15 years before social media. Actually, probably 20 years, because I got on social media late. When I started doing business, I was of the belief, like, you couldn't just go get credit card processing, right? These didn't even exist. So you had to go through a credit check and a background and all kinds of stuff. And I could not get a credit card processing thing. I was of the belief, like, you want my stuff? I had enough people willing to pay me cash and mail me money, or come, like, they would drive hours to come to the shop to order gear that we didn't even have. We were going to build it for them. So, yeah, I mean, I think we would be. I question now if I started over with nobody knowing who I was, whether it would be at the same level. But I mean, I did start over, and the majority of my customers today, I mean, we still have 30-year customers, but we gain new customers all the time, constantly. Just people are seeking it out. And no matter, I have a lot of controversy, and I prod them, right? I'm the guy with the lighter when somebody's mad at me or saying something mean about me on the internet. I'm the dude with the lighter, under his butt cheek. My job is to, like, when they say something, I drive traffic to what they're saying. People like to watch a car wreck. They love to see the train wreck. It's why when you're going down the interstate, it takes 2 hours in traffic to go a mile, and it's just some lady changing her tire, right? So I have enough customers. We have enough value out there, and we've done enough good in the world of our industry that I don't have to fight those fights. I don't have to answer to anything. When somebody says some shitty stuff or there's a group saying there's something going on, I just drive the eyeballs. And I don't even really do it anymore. Other people see it and post it in some of our closed groups. And what happens is you'll have two dudes like, yeah, that guy, yeah, that guy, yeah, that guy. And 400 people will show up and post order numbers and photos of their stuff. Like, I just ordered this. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We've got this stuff. And the one thing that they'll always say, no matter what they're upset with me for, but he makes the best stuff. That's always how it is. But he makes the best stuff.
Yeah. That's your differentiator. You do make the best stuff. Here's a question. Can you get your record expunged now?
Yes, it's in motion.
All right. That'll be badass.
Well, it's very different under this administration. We need the other administration. You can get anything.
Administration will change again. It always does.
You can get anything done for the right amount of money. So the question is, and it might as well be a bribe, right? The question is, what can you do with $500,000? And how has my life been altered anyways, right? I don't own guns. I don't have guns. My kid, he has guns. He has his own guns. He's an adult. He lives on a different property. All of my children have trained at TAC Response. My wife has trained at TAC Response. I've gone, because everybody's very worried about that, right? Oh my God, I couldn't imagine that. I've gone 15 years without them.
Yep.
I've done a lot of shit in 15 years. I have the ability to make enough money to hire a security team. It doesn't change my life any.
Yeah.
The only reason I want to do like, it'd be nice to have back, right? I just want to rub it in their face. Every time somebody brings that up, well, that guy, because there is a group of people out there like, that guy can't own guns, but he still builds all this gun stuff, right? I would love nothing more than just, and my answer is always like, okay, but I can buy a helicopter in an island. I mean, you don't have those.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Okay, Mike, or I can't access Mr. Ikeo. What about camping on site? Yes, camping is included with your ticket. And if you are coming on Saturday, you can camp Friday night. But if you get there after about 9 p.m., the gate guy might already be in bed. So my advice, if you want to camp on Friday night, is get there well before 9 p.m. just to make sure you get through the gate, because it will be closed overnight and then opened again in the morning.
Let's talk about what camping. Let's talk about what camping looks like too.
Yes, camping is actual camping,
or a hammock or a sleep mat. Camping is not you towed a vehicle in here in a trailer. That is not camping. There's going to be a lot of people here. Yes. There are hundreds of places that you can camp in this county here. There's a river that way. There's a river that way. We are on Kentucky Lake. It is the biggest man-made lake in the United States. There's tons of places to camp if that's what you want to do with van or something else.
Yeah, if you have a camper, go to one of the camping sites where you can plug in and that sort of thing. Also, the facilities are porta potties and we have water available. And that is the extent of the infrastructure. It's the Self-Reliance Festival. So do with that information what you will. There's not a microwave you can use. Very limited, like you're not going to have a charging station for your cell phones. Figure that out.
Yeah, bring your solar chargers. If you have a solar charger, you can charge people or trade. Do your thing. This is Self-Reliance Festival. Like the first one, we had a bunch of chairs. This is Self-Reliance Festival. You want a chair, bring a chair.
Bring a chair.
There's no Barca-Lounger here. Like this is what it is. Like we're going to have some awesome people for you to learn from and speak to. And you're going to find some things. Like I carry around a ton of shit that I never use, right? You want to really go through your load and stuff, put a pack on and go live in the woods for a week. You're 90% of that shit you're not going to use. And you're going to realize like Dave Canterbury and these guys, man, I've seen these guys walk around with an Altoid tin and go through the winter. Like my son was out winter camping in an ice storm with these guys, and all they were allowed to take was literally what they walked into the classroom. Like they had all their packs and shit packed in the cars. That ain't what went with them. And what you find is you don't need all that bullshit. Some people will. How do you know what business or idea to give the most time to? So when I came back home, I started a company called Forbidden Handbags. And I was doing kind of like the Harveys woven. They were seatbelt bags, but we were taking and putting all kinds of silk liners inside them and, magnet snaps and feet on them and stuff. Ours were much nicer than what was on the market at the time. I hadn't even heard of Harveys when we started building these things. So what I found was, and I'm selling these bags 15, 16 years ago for between $200 and $600. We could have made a killing with them. We were making a killing. I still have the website. I still have the trademark. I have everything for it. But it got to the point where I had to either do that or I had to do special operations equipment. And I had already broke over $1 million a year, so I knew that was viable, where I was just kind of playing with the other one. So just take one if it works. It's not hard to scale things. If you have a group of people that want to buy something, chances are when you walk outside that group, there's another group of people that want to buy some. So it's just connecting eyeballs, right? So if you have a solid product that will move, what you need is eyeballs. If you don't have a product and you have a bunch of eyeballs, what you need is a product. And that's where branded merchandise comes into effect, right? Do you have enough people that love what you're doing that they would wear a logo t-shirt, right? What do you pay for a shirt? What's your profit margin on a shirt? And how many shirts can you sell every week? And then can you add a coffee cup? Can you add patches? Can you add hats, right? Can you add other things? Well, Iridium Group on here, if anybody doesn't know who that is, that's Ed Hubble. He's a friend in real life, like a real dude. Like we're going to go to Canada and snatch him up and bring him to freedom one day.
Yay.
He will be at our event. He's got a great company. His content, I would like to have him come and do my content. But he's got a solid company. Everybody thinks they're going to get a gas mask. We're going to have gas mask, Mirror Safety. He's a dealer for them. Man, we're going to have gas masks here. You're going to hate them. Like that idea just needs to go on out of your head. Try to chop some wood for a couple minutes wearing a gas mask.
Yeah, I don't need to even try it. I know people in the military. Okay, this is an answer to K-Bonk. You asked about van camping on site. Because of the limited space at this time, no. But on the Self-Reliance Festival website are a bunch of different RV parks, campgrounds, all sorts of stuff that you can reach out to and see. I don't know, like if people are in the parking lot in their vans, that doesn't bother me. Does that bother you, John?
Not at all.
Yeah, so I mean, the parking lot outside of campus, you totally can sleep. Like I would sleep in my Tahoe in that situation.
It's allowed versus able, right? What can you do and what are you supposed to do are two very different things.
Yes.
If somehow, I don't know what our parking looks like on property here. I think it's just vendors because we have so many vendors.
Yeah, it's limited. Vendors and speakers and stuff, and that's all we have room for.
If you parked up at the hotel up there where I'm talking about, nobody's going to say shit to you.
No.
I also have another building, my old shop, and we can put some people there if we need to.
Yeah, I've got room for 2 more there right now.
You're parked over at my place?
Yeah.
At my old building?
Yeah, so I've got a speaker parking there and 2 other people, and you said there was room for 5 or 6.
Yeah, right? We have in front of the whole building. We have in front of the whole shop there next to the trailer. And then on the weekend, those guys over at the fab shop, they don't run either. So we could probably use that dirt lot too.
Okay. Yeah. So what I need for Self-Reliance in October is a camping manager for RV parking. If you want to volunteer for that position, reach out to me. This one will just fit you where we can fit you if you show up with something like that. But camping on SOE campus is tent camping with the exception of a couple of people who got their question in early that we could make room for. When I was younger and more nerdy, I know you don't believe I could be more nerdy than I am now, but I was more nerdy. I was in a group called the Society for Creative Anachronisms. This is a medieval recreation group. It's kind of like the Ren Fair, only medieval times and not as organized and not a profit center. And what we would do is we would have wars. And at a war, like 1,000 people would show up and guys would like fight with each other with rattan swords and, in full armor, and we would reenact medieval times as they should have been, not as they were, so women had rights. And one of the things we would do is we would form households and camp all together in a circle and share one cooking area, and like different people would be in charge of meals and that sort of thing. There was absolutely nothing stopping you from doing something like that, or bringing one of those solar showers and hanging it in the trees. As long as you don't mess with John's trees and mess up his ground, you could maybe sell showers to people. I'm just saying, we got it done then, and I know we can get it done at Self-Reliance Festival. And I start thinking we can work together. There will be food for sale this time. I think there are 250 or 350 meals that'll be produced by the food vendors every day. There's food at the gas station to the entry. But if somebody at their campground wanted to do shish kebabs and sell 100 shish kebabs, I mean, you're not in vendor row if you didn't buy a spot in vendor row, but I'm not going to stop you from selling stuff. I'm not going to.
If you have some kind of sideline business and you want to come, we don't care. We're not going to be walking around. It's not like it's not like SHOT Show, right? Do you have a pass? You can't be here. I encourage that. You guys want to do a swap meet deal one morning? Do that between you. You guys work out whatever you want, right? You want to. On Sunday morning or Saturday morning, you have your wares out. I don't care what you guys do. If you can make some money, more power to you.
Yeah.
And
what we care about is the people who have tent spaces that paid for that or bought tables have their, like, don't get in their way. But, you know, if you're doing a flea market out in the campground, I don't care.
K-Bonk, expected turnout. Nicole will tell you something different than I'm saying 650.
He might be right.
There's always extras that come in. It'll be about 600, 650.
It depends on how many extras we get at this point, but 500 is definitely a baseline. And
Nicole talking about war. If you guys haven't seen that, I have Badger Ordnance. I go to the Ren fairs and stuff. There's guys that make swords. You want to do jousting? There's dudes that make armor for horses and real functional. It's called medieval martial arts. And you have 6,000 people show up, and it's melee. Literally, it is a huge fight. Guys get broken. Guys get sutures. Like they're really hitting you. It's
really fun to watch. But yeah,
it's like Burning Man or Wasteland Warriors. If you haven't seen those, check out Wasteland Warriors. It's like Mad Max, but these guys fuck each other up. Like you can go and not fight. There's a whole economy, and a lot of these people, that is all they do.
Yeah. Yeah, so SCA is the same thing. You've got vendor row where people have got their booths up and they sell things like armor or handmade soap or whatever. And then you have people in their encampments who are also like that guy knows how to make jewelry from nothing.
It's like
medieval style. It's awesome. It's really kind of, this person knows how to weave fabric or spin wool. It's
like medieval carnies. They set up a whole village, Mississippi.
Medieval carnies.
The Ren Fair runs for 4 weeks. It runs through Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I believe it's Mississippi. And like there's a pig butchering they do. Like they use the spleen to cover a crock pot, made of crock. Like they break this thing down. They use every single piece of the animal, and you can get in there with them. Like it is, man. If you're a homeschooler, that would be the place to take your kids. I mean, they could get literally a year's worth of education right there within a few days.
Yeah. And we're kind of doing, we're not doing the same thing. You don't have to come in medieval garb, but we've got somebody showing you how to blacksmith. We've got somebody showing you how to distill fuel. We've got somebody showing you how to take care of bees. We've got somebody showing you how to, this guy's got this really cool way of grinding wheat that you can like hook up to your car and just have your car running and idle and it grinds your, like there's all sorts of cool things you'll see.
It's an actual grist mill.
Yeah, it's a grist mill. And
like a real one, not some bullshit that you like. You're gonna. Do we have the sawmill guy coming in?
Sawmill is probably in October, not this time. Yeah.
Yeah, like major. You want to take trees and turn them into dimensional lumber? We got a dude like big ass sawmill, like awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about the logistics. I'll have a standalone video too, so people know what to expect, parking wise, food wise, how we're set up, what it looks like for camping, and those sorts of things. And we'll get that out as a standalone too. But I've had a lot of questions about it. And John, I do have one question. People who've signed up for pork processing are asking if they can sleep Thursday night in the camp area.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, so if you bought your pork processing, so Friday the 10th, 10 to 2, we're processing a pig. That pig's getting smoked and turned into pork sandwiches for Saturday. If you signed up for that and you want to camp Thursday night, again, please arrive early enough to get into the campus. And I would say for that, how late, John?
Man, I typically close those gates. I mean, I don't know. I usually... We'll work it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, so we'll tell you a time, but try to get there earlier rather than later. If you can't get there early enough, like 6 or 7,
yeah,
sort of thing. There are campgrounds nearby if you need to camp. Yeah.
Around here, if you pull off in a parking lot, nobody is going to give you shit. Like if you pull up in the middle of the night in a parking lot, just be out of there when the sun comes up. You know.
Yeah.
It's doable. I saw somebody said he was looking at the SCA due to archery skills. I don't know where you're located. If you're interested in horseback archery, we could go right to Kentucky. There are several places there. You don't even have to have a bow, and you don't have to have a horse. You can rent animals there. If you have one, I mean, you might want to try this out and see if you want to do horseback archery. If you're talking longbows, there's guys for that. You're like, whatever you think is there, you haven't even scratched the surface.
There's so much.
Horseback archery is something we're going to do this year. I got a friend that builds halters and stuff. We pushed some business to her in the beginning. I already talked to her about what kind of horses we want. Like we're gonna go do this. So if you're interested in that, man, I have a ton of information on it.
Cool. That's a whole nother chapter in your life.
I've been around horses. Like my dad's family are horse people, Texas A&M. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Looks like things are wrapping up. John, any last words before we head out?
No, thanks, guys. Thanks for having an interest in this. Thanks for being part of what we're doing. Come and talk to us. More, I think importantly too, people come in here every day and I'll talk to them, but people are awkward in person, right? We have this sense of security through this thing here, and we can talk and talk and talk. But when you meet people in person, they'll come in here, they'll be here 5 minutes, and then later on live feed tonight, they'll be like, hey, it was nice to meet you. Well, dumbass, had you told me who you were, you would have a completely different interaction. Like I put out all these videos and stuff. When you come here, if there's something you want to, I will stop what I'm doing. If there's something you want to talk about, if there's something we have in common, some common interest, we can look at whatever it is you want to talk about and discuss. I'll take you to the other side of the property. We can do anything you want to talk about. I just have to know that you want that. So don't come here and then leave wishing we had some conversation or, had something.
Yeah. And tomorrow we are doing another live feed at 12:30. With an interesting guy who's really into 3D printing. So that we don't usually do 2 live feeds in 1 week, but the opportunity came up and I couldn't say no. And I think it's going to be another really fun conversation. So and that's Drac.
Yeah. If you're a Star Wars guy, if you're a 3D printing guy, or you're like a Nerf guy, right? I don't know what I can say. I'm not going to say anything because he'll say what's able to be put out there.
Yeah, I was gonna let him guide how that goes.
And if you wanna talk business, man, this kid, holy shit! Like he came to me and asked me some questions, and I threw at him what I have, and we bounced things off each other. But he is doing business on a level that I've not even accomplished yet.
Awesome! I can't wait to meet that guy in person at Self-Reliance Festival. So. Thanks again, everybody, for joining in and for participating so actively. We'll see you tomorrow at 12:30.
Guys, I do a live feed every night right around 9 o'clock on YouTube. Join in. We can talk about anything you want to talk about.
Awesome.